What's up, pussy?
Yo,
What's up, bro?
that's good, Trevor. And this, how's Valorant treating you?
Not horrible. I'm up in plat now, like 50 RR in, which is
Right,
my
right.
my peak solo. So
Hell yeah.
yeah, I'll take that.
Okay. So a couple questions, I guess, before you even get into this. Um, what are your settings, I guess, like mouse pad, like monitor hertz, sensitivity, all that stuff?
Yeah. So I got a Logitech G Pro, the super light mouse.
Okay.
The Arctrack, or what is this one? The Artisan mouse pad. Turn the desktop volume up. I have. It's up all the way.
What is
Um,
Alan there?
yeah, I don't. He doesn't want to join. He said he didn't want to derail the call, but so I'm streaming it to him. Um, I believe I'm point two, set it for sensitivity in Valorant, and then 1600 DPI.
Okay. Monitor hertz.
244.
Okay. We're gonna check some of these. So, can you share your screen? Is it possible to share your screen here and with Alan? I don't even know if that's
Yeah,
possible.
yeah.
Screen watch. Let's see. Okay, right click on desktop. Display settings. Yeah. Scroll down. Advanced display. Okay, so we got 240 on here. You have a NVIDIA card. Okay, so go back, close that. You can just close this tab, it's fine. Right click again. I don't know if Windows 11 has NVIDIA control panel here. Go to the search on the bottom. Then type in NVI. Yeah, and then control panel. I'm gonna check it here as well.
Is it gonna work?
Did anything pop up?
There it goes.
Very good. Okay. Uh, manage 3D settings, I think. No, not that. It's adjust desktop size and position.
Desktop size and position. Okay. There it goes.
Yeah. Okay. Scroll down. It's on 240 here. Okay. So just double checking. It seems like we're good. Go to manage 3D settings really quick. And scroll down. Okay. Low latency mode. Up one more. Two more. There we go. Low latency mode. Turn that on to ultra. Scroll down. Okay. Vertical sync. I'm gonna turn that on. And then you can hit apply. Okay.
What does
So,
this do?
so the TLDR basically is if you have G-Sync on, you want vertical sync on the control panel, but vertical sync off in game. The whole explanation on it is kind of odd, but yeah, okay. And then you have the super light.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you have G hub? I just want to check the DPI settings.
Yep. I think that is.
Let's see, what do we have here? On
Where?
onboard memory mode. Go ahead and turn that off just so we can see what we have. Yeah, and then we go back one and click it again. Okay, that's base 1600. Okay, that's fine. You can turn it back on. If you go back, yeah, and then the little bottom right, yeah, just turn that back on. Okay, close that. Open Valorant. Okay, and then I'll share my screen and kind of get into what we saw here. So I was just checking some of this stuff, just the. Whoops, I think I shared the wrong screen. There we go. Okay, so normally I just check that stuff just in case, in case anything's set up and properly. We're gonna change or check your video settings in the game as well.
Okay.
But to kind of TLDR the whole session, the main things that I saw that I want to work on for this upcoming week, really, maybe even 2 weeks, is all mechanics based. A lot of the times we're in like decent spots and we just lose the duel. And there's a couple mechanical things that get into it, but I don't really care about the macro stuff at this point in time because you're making the right decisions like a large majority of the time, which is not really executing on it. So, you have the standard smoke spots, you have decent smoke timing, you're rotating decently well. You know when to cancel an attack, right? Like it's not really that's the problem. You're also lurking and stuff like that and getting kills that way. So we just have to increase our one-on-one duel conversion and go from there. So let's kind of go and take a look at the settings. So one of the things that I saw that was a weak point for us is flick instability. We'll take a look at some examples later in the call. But basically, when you flick, you have like this weird shake at the end. And also, I think because you have flick instability, you actually don't flick as quickly or as often as other players. And it's going to sound counterintuitive, but typically to increase your flick speed, you need to increase your flick confidence. And typically that's done by lowering your sensitivity. So I'm going to suggest we lower our sensitivity from 0.2 to 0.15, just in the short term.
All right.
At some point you can kind of increase this back up, but we're gonna go ahead and change that. Let's go to video settings, top, and do you normally play on windowed full screen?
Yes, I believe so. I don't change it.
So I don't. So you just click in and go to the full screen. Yeah. Apply. Okay, and then go to graphics quality. We're gonna change some of these. So go ahead and go everything on low. Improve clarity off. Bloom on. And then for the anti-aliasing doesn't really matter, but just for the sake of this, let's just do 4x and 8x. Okay, so let's go back. Close that. Let's see if there's anything else there. Go into the range for me. And we just gotta see your FPS cap. Sometimes the NVIDIA control panel G-Sync V-Sync thing doesn't work, so we might have to manually cap your FPS in the game to 237. But we'll see.
All right.
If it is working, it's gonna cap it on their end by 2 to 2.
My ultimate ready.
Just pick it up here.
My ult is ready.
Yeah, so it's capping at 225. Perfect. So we can see if it's working properly. Hit escape, go to video, then stats. Scroll down to what is it? GPU render latency or something? Render latency GPU. Yeah, it's in the graph or show both. Okay, what does it say? 5.5. It's good. That means it's working. Spawn some bots and just flick around. It's not going above 1 ms. So, okay, that's good. Okay, quick question. This is gonna sound really strange, but do you think that you're, in terms of seating position to your desk, that you're sitting high up or low?
High. I just
High.
recently changed it because I was really
Okay.
low. I would, like, and then I kind of like rest my like elbow kind of on my like chair.
Right, armrest thing?
Yeah.
Okay. The VODs that you submitted, was this before or after the change?
After, I believe.
Okay. That might explain a little bit of some of it. So going back to the stability thing, this is just out of my experimentation. But when you sit higher in your chair, you can vertical aim a little bit easier, but you just gain a little bit, or you lose a little bit of stability. Because obviously you have less pressure, like less weight on the desk. So lowering your sensitivity probably is fine here. What I want to see really quickly is, can you just go to medium bots and then, just try to kill them with like a sheriff or something.
I think I did. No, I didn't do it. Right? That's
Yeah,
how
you're
I
good.
just-
Yeah. Then you could start. On the bottom, yeah. When you aim, do you feel like you use your arm or your wrist more?
Probably my wrist. I've been
Okay,
trying to use my arm a little bit more, but it like feels so weird.
Can you send me a picture of how you rest your arm on the desk?
Yeah.
Okay, so that kind of makes sense. You lean, you're not. Is this like that exact position when you're playing?
Pretty much, yeah. I would think so.
Okay.
I think
So it explains why the arm thing's not really there. That mouse pad also looks a little bit small. Is that?
it's in
Am I just-
0.5, so
I see.
it might look a little bit smaller. It's I don't even know what.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the XL size or what.
I don't believe it's the XL. I got it on Amazon. Let me see. I can tell you. It is the large.
Yeah, so it is a little bit smaller. That might prove to be a little bit difficult when you're playing. Let me look at the dimensions on that. Because it does make sense that you are using mostly your wrist because your pad is too small.
Okay.
And also the other thing is you don't actually have that much arm on your desk. Like pretty much at all. Actually, I can send you a picture of what mine looks like. Not saying I have the best posture here, but just to give you an idea of arm to desk ratio, which is important if you're gonna use your arm in an attack FPS game. Something that's over on board. So you see in that picture, my mouse is pretty much at the top of the pad, and keep in mind that my pad is a little bit bigger than yours. But like, I would say like, what is that? 80% of my forearm's on the desk, whereas yours is probably like, I mean,
not even.
Yeah, most of your forearm's on the armrest. So a couple things with that to potentially keep in mind is it's not necessary to have your arm on the desk by any means. There's a lot of pros that don't, but I personally have found it awkward to use my arm when my arm is on the armrest. And also, I feel like I don't scoot up enough when I do. So I personally have taken the armrest off my chair. I'm not telling you that you need to do that. I just want you to kind of figure out how to arm aim a little bit more because we are lacking stability in our aiming. And that's primarily because stability doesn't really exist that much in uh, wrist aiming, like for wide flicks, right? It's very difficult, very
Yeah.
difficult. Um, so I can't actually even find these dimensions. Let me look on artisan large versus XL. They have it on the page somewhere. You know, they had an XXL. Wait, what the fuck do I have? Oh, I have the XL. So this one must be new. Let's see. So this is. So it's not that much smaller, but you might have a little bit of a hard time with the lower sensitivity, but we'll see. Can you go in the game really quick? Just go from one edge, like the left side of the mouse pad to the right side of the pad. Okay. Look in the center and do it one more time. Yeah, that's playable. I think that's playable. That's like a what, a 270-ish?
Yeah, around there.
Let me see what that is on mine. So you have a slightly less range of motion, but it's playable. Okay. So we need to get some flick confidence. I think this is probably best done in the aim trainer, but let's kind of actually, before I even get into some of these specifics, I want you to see what I see. So let's kind of just look into some of these VODs and look at some of the examples. We won't hang up too much on the VOD reviewing in this session, just because I don't think it's actually going to be that useful. Just because on the decision-making aspect, I think it's largely fine. So let's kind of start from top to bottom here and add some spaces. Okay, so key takeaways. We tend to preem a bit too deep into the wall. So you have like this habit where you're kind of just running it down when your crosshair's in the wall. Let's say you're preeming here, you kind of just run it down until your crosshair gets out, and then you just die. We'll see some examples of that. Defense, you're having a really hard time stopping any rushes. That's probably partly due to agent pick, right? You don't have that much util. You just have to smoke and sit next to it and kind of just win a lot of dry gun duels. So positionally, you might have to think a little bit smarter on that. But also, we're just oftentimes losing that first duel, and we're kind of getting hit by util. So we'll take a look at our defense holds for some of these rounds. And then in terms of mechanically, crouch spraying, vertical aiming, and flick instability is some weaknesses. So with crouch spraying, your instant reaction most of the time when you see a target is just to immediately crouch and then spray. The problem with that is we don't vertically aim that well. A lot of the times your crosshair is kind of like dipping on the vertical axis a little bit, and we don't go back up. So we aren't vertical aiming that well, and even during our spray control, we're not pulling down enough. So that's normally a sign if it's just undertrained, which is normal for Valorant. But we're also not able to maintain our crosshair at a stable y-axis, which might just be due to some stability stuff. And then flick instability, I mean, we'll see again some examples, but basically what it would look like is you would flick and then your crosshair would jitter at the end. So like kind of go like this. I'm exaggerating
Yeah,
it for...
no, but I know I do that. I do see that.
So normally, so if I flick with my arm here, it does jitter, but it's a lot less. Whereas like if I kind of flick with my wrist, it has a little bit more of a jitter. It also is based on your tension management and higher sensitivity. Like if I go higher sensitivity, it's going to jitter a little bit more. But I can see how it affects you. At least I can infer how it affects you because we have that like instability on the flick. You instead of flicking, sometimes you kind of just move your mouse over. So we actually aren't flicking. We're kind of just moving our mouse fast.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes any sense.
No, it does.
But we aren't doing that properly sometimes. So in terms of the key takeaways, that's what it is. We'll kind of just reverse, go back into these VODs. And we're going to pay attention a little bit more to the gun duels itself. Let's start with bind. Okay, so start. Nice shot by him. This is a little bit with the pre-aim peeking technique. Unfortunately, the quality on this is going to be shit because Insights is terrible. But um, this peak was fine. We just ended up moving a little bit at the end. One comment that I want to make about our movement is oftentimes you're kind of like just pressing your keyboard keys a lot. Either you're holding angle, you're kind of just like crouching, doing like this. But like it's pretty rare that we're actually kind of just like standing still and having like intentional movements. So like if the only thing you take away from today is just to make your movements more efficient and intentional, that would be a pretty big game changer.
Okay.
My proposal to make this better is actually to unbind crouch because I think it's adding a little bit on your mental stack. And when I see you walk around the map, you're kind of just crouching like this. And I think it's fucking up not only with your vertical aiming, but with your intention on when you're taking fights. So like sometimes you would peek and you would crouch peek, which is good. But then going into the next fight, you're kind of like unstable. And then sometimes even when you get that crouch peek on that fight, your first bullet hits the body because of the crouch. So the crouch peek is really good at the higher levels because when we do crouch peek, we actually counter the dip in the crosshair placement by going up. So it's like it's pretty subconscious for some of these players, for me specifically, that he moves his crosshair back up on a full crouch peek. Now tap crouching is a little bit different. But anyways, nice flick by or nice shot by him. So this is where our pre-aim is really deep. I want to slow this one down. So we peek, and then boom, pre-aim super deep, and this is for like roughly right side triple or middle triple, but then this guy's here. And of course we hit a good flick here, but you can even see the overreaction on that flick. It's a little bit far, and then we have to readjust. With the flick this close, ideally what it looks like is it's just a super quick micro, and there's no need for a second micro adjustment. Or if you are going to have a second micro adjustment, it's going to be like really, really close. So ideally this flick is like here, and then maybe you micro adjust like that. But instead what happens is we kind of go all the way here and then kind of go back. So boom, over, and then we come back. And you get the kill, which is great. But the main thing I want to point out here, number one, is our pre-aim is just so deep here. And then number two, the flick overreaction. And typically when you see someone pop on your screen, your flick is almost always an overreaction in terms of an overflick. Here is an example of full sending it on a peak. So you'll just see you kind of just go out wide, and we do get the kill, but ideally you slice the pie a little bit more. We'll see some more examples where it kind of pauses it, or I mean, you'll see it more. This is an example of the overreaction. Gonna go back a little bit. So again, quality is kind of shit, but if I put a little red dot on the crosshair, you can kind of see it. This is where your crosshair is roughly. That's actually a little bit off. Let me fix that. There you go. There's your crosshair. And then when the neon swings, you'll see in a sec, overreaction far to the right. And then we have to recorrect back to the center. Okay, so normally that's a couple things. One, it's probably inability to read target movement well. And I can say with a lot of confidence that I used to do exactly what you used to do. Oddly enough, when I played Fortnite and people would jump on my screen and they would like go in the air and come back down, my dumbass would just keep aiming down thinking that they could go into the floor for some reason. So it would be like jump and then aim down and then I have to correct back up. So like typically when someone jumps in this game, they land back on the floor unless something crazy happens, like they jet updraft or whatever. So when they jump, you want to I guess expect the landing spot, right? So your crosshair would be back to around this area and not continue going down. So what I see from this is when this neon swung is potentially this is just an overreaction due to movement reading. It also could just be an overreaction due to high tension or high sensitivity. It's hard to tell, but at least for me, when I was playing Fortnite, I could tell that it was because I actually wasn't looking at the target. I was just target would appear on my screen and then I would react and I'm like, oh, he's moving down, let me aim down. He's moving to the right, let me aim to the right. But I'm not actually thinking about the target speed and like physically where they could actually be, oddly enough. But going forward a little bit, smokes here, it's fine. We just run it down a little bit after, which we die. This is probably the way you die the most, is when you run it down. In this case, it's just a lack of awareness. Use this little pause I'm talking about. In terms of,
I do triple now.
We have like a lot of unnecessary movements. So we kind of here, you can see a lot of crouching there, going back and forth. Just a little bit of hesitation here. I don't really care too much about this because it's not a mechanical thing necessarily, but we'll kind of see a mechanical thing here. In this gun duel, neon TPs, immediately crouch peek. I mean crouch spray. Okay, so we try to adjust. That's fine. We go a little bit left. Crosshairs out here, great. And then we bump into the wall, and then our crosshair placement immediately shifted over, and then we have to overflick back into the center. There's a lot of things that is going on here, but us bumping up into the wall probably was a large factor into this. I just want to slow it down a little bit. So you can see the hard overreaction after you realize you bumped into the wall, and then the Reyna spawns, and then you control your spray, get the kill, great. And then as we back up here, this ISO is fighting us. It doesn't actually look like we're ready for this fight right there. Let me. This guy here, and I can hear in the voice comms you're calling something. Going lamps, which
or showers, yeah.
Showers, yeah. But regardless, we were in voice comms here, and we weren't actually ready for this guy. You can see your crosshairs here and not here. So crouch spray there, and then we fall back. Whatever. Let's keep going forward. Okay, so here more mechanical stuff. You cleared the common angle, and then we didn't clear the walkout. The more important thing here is the fact that our peaks are kind of tight, and we kind of go for a shift peak. And then of course the crouch spray, you can see the vertical aiming thing. I wouldn't be opposed to us spraying as much if you were able to control it, but a couple of our bullets go here. So this kind of shows that our spray is a little bit undertrained, because when you see I guess people that spray a lot, their spray almost never goes above the head. Skipping forward a bit more, I don't really care about this one, and I don't really care about this one. Okay, so these are decision-making stuff, which we could kind of refine over time, but honestly don't really care. So nice kills here. Crosshair placement does dip a little bit. So here we flick over, and we can't really see it because of this damn video quality, but crosshairs on that red dot. Get the kill. Actually, let's move, because let me get your crosshair dot before the fight even starts. Let's see. Okay. Little red dot there. That's our crosshair. Gonna dip a little bit. So crosshair placement in general here is, this is gonna sound strange, but what you need to know is, I'm gonna slow it down. When they peek you, and when you're at head height is a little bit unintuitive, because you might see their shoulder first. Okay, so here, technically, if you were to aim for the shoulder like you are now, you would actually be able to shoot earlier compared to the head, because you see their shoulder first, right? So sometimes, like subconsciously, I've seen people just aim for the shoulder because that's the first thing that appears on the screen for the enemy. But their head is slightly to the right. Like if we were to say the first point of contact on the shoulder is here and the head's here, you have to wait like a couple more pixels till the head is in frame, but you gotta actually line up a headshot. Why is that kind of important? Well, you have to kind of visualize the agent as a whole when you're about to take the fight, right? So like, I'm kind of just gonna fucking draw a stick person here, and then they're gonna have shoulder pads. When this guy swings out, his shoulder pads are gonna be a little bit ahead of the curve. So you see this first, but you actually need to be visualizing for this guy, like this target here. If you only think about the target as a head, it becomes a little bit easier. But regardless, crosshair placement's on shoulder. You go back up to adjust the head, so a little nice vertical diagonal adjustment here. Eventually get the kill, but then we dip back down. So you see how we went like this?
Yeah.
This is why that stability, holding it on the whatever you want to call this axis, is kind of following. He did a little tap crouch, so we get the headshot. You crouch, you come back up a little bit again on the shoulder. After our first shot, recoil brings us up, and then we're kind of just strafing back and forth, and we kill this guy with a body shot. So vertical instability, we're not holding this line properly, which is kind of hard to do until you've like really mastered this skill, to be fair. And I find myself dipping a lot. Like normally my crosshair placement is kind of like this. It would just like randomly go down. And then like as I'm traveling around the map, I have to bring it back up, and then kind of just dips back down. Some people, the way I like to think about this is like if you think about your mouse pad and then your arm is here. That's not an arm. Yeah, sure. This is your arm here. When you move in an arc, like you go to the left, your mouse is going to go like this, like a windshield wiper. That's kind of how I think about it. Like if you move your arm left and right now, it's going to do that. It's not like your mouse moves in a straight left and right line. That's not really how this works, unless you move your shoulder with it. which I'm not going to tell you to use your shoulder. It's kind of unintuitive, and it's not that important for this game. So instead, what typically happens for people to maintain crosshair placement in this game, which keeps kicking me out, is they move a little bit and then they reset with their mouse, which you'll see a lot with Zekken clips. Maybe I can find the clip. It's probably worth looking at. Let's see here. I'll show you what I mean first in here. And I'll make my crosshair really big. Okay. So, outline maybe. Okay. So, ideally, what we do is we move our mouse in a straight line like this, but that's not normal. So, like if I move my mouse in an arc, like I just go to the left, it just naturally dips down, right? Then if I move my mouse to the right, it just naturally dips down. Well, the way you would counter this actually is by moving your arm to the left and then your wrist to the right, which kind of unnatural, but that's actually how people do it probably. At least that's how I do it. But what am I trying to say? If you're trying to maintain X or like this height here, you'll see a lot of people kind of just go like this, which is like kind of inefficient, but you reset your mouse a shit ton. Players like Zekken do this pretty frequently. Let me see if I can find the clip. I think it's this one. Yeah, it's this one. Okay, so can you see the clip somewhat clearly?
Yeah.
Let me full screen it. Yeah. So just take. So luckily we have his mouse cam here, and luckily we can see his game here. Can I actually increase the video quality? Yeah. Okay. So I guess let me kind of direct your focus a little bit. The first time you watch this clip, I just want you to take a look at this crosshair and just kind of see the resets and the head height.
Spike planted. That's actually too small. You had your fun. My turn. One enemy remaining. Now 4.
Okay, we're gonna watch it one more time, and then I just want you to look at his mouse cam. Like, only look at his mouse cam.
Spike planted. That's actually too small. You had your fun. My turn. One enemy remaining. Now 4.
Okay, so what do you notice?
Yeah, like he's not really moving it that much. It's just like a reset, like every time he moves.
Right. So his forearm is pretty much in the same spot the entire time.
Yeah.
And when he's actually moving in the game, it's just his wrist. And then when he gets end of range of motion on his wrist, resets the mouse and does it again. And if you like, I'm just doing my wrist right here. If I purely use my wrist, I can actually maintain the what do you call it? I guess the head level pretty easily. And then I just run out of range of motion, and then I have to pick up and do it again. And that's literally how he plays this game. The only time he uses his arm is when he had to turn around, and then he immediately reset again and then got the kill, right? So some players do this. Another player that I haven't confirmed if he does this or not is Knights. So we've seen some of his VODs at this point. But let's just look at when I've noticed he does this whole reset thing a lot. Let's just click on fucking 30. Yeah, sure, this one. Let's take a look at his crosshair, I guess. Turn up the quality. See, his crosshair is very jittery in the sense that he's resetting a lot, I think, here. A lot of jittery, a lot of flicking. This is the guy who ended rank 1 2x in a row. So I will say it's a myth, I think, or like a misconception that you need to have perfect aiming technique to be good in this game. This is a aiming style that's kind of brute force in this game, where it's not going to work in tracking games. But you have aimers like Alexander and Frosty ZK that have like the whole smooth, calm aim bullshit that looks really cool and looks really clean. And they kind of do the aiming style that is, what the fuck's his YouTube channel? Is this him? No, that's not. Has he got rid of his YouTube channel? Oh no, here we go. Okay.
What's up, guys? It's
So
Alexander.
I don't really care about what he has to say here, but I just want you to see his movements in the game. he has a lot more smooth motions. Like this is the whole calm aim thing, hard pre-aims. He aims almost fully with his mouse. Sorry, with his arm. And this is kind of what he's, I guess, perfect. You see how he like traces that corner there?
Yeah.
Zekken probably would be doing a little bit of tracing, but probably a lot more resets there. And you can kind of see the reset in that Twitter clip when he pushes the guy Jen. Most of the time people would trace here, but he's kind of just flicking and then flicking back. So you can, if you just have really good flicking technique and really good mouse resets, you can make it to a high level in this game. But since you're so early on in your journey, I think it makes sense for you to try to dabble a little bit in both and see what feels a little bit more natural.
Okay.
So currently, so far, you've been playing a lot with your wrist, and you haven't really developed the whole like mouse reset thing. So my suggestion when I told you to lower your sensitivity to get a little bit more stability is also hopefully aim to get your arm a little bit more incorporated into the movement. If you wanted to make this a little bit more exaggerated, you actually will lower your sense even more. And then you would kind of play with 0.1 just to get the whole flick stability and flick confidence and go from there. And I promise you, we actually might do it at the very end. If you just try 0.1, you'll notice you flick a lot faster on 0.1 compared to 0.2. Just because you have more confidence in that flick, which is unorthodox. But with that said, let's kind of go a little bit forward. I got sidetracked a little bit. Vertical stability is kind of the thing we're talking about here. Skipping forward. Yeah, we ran out of mouse pad here. This is just an example of the small mouse pad, probably, along with wrist movement. Yeah, just ran out of pad space. If you do want to get a new pad, I would say the artisan pads are just a little bit expensive. So you can get an artisan clone, which is actually the one I have in that picture I sent you. I have this one. But you could just get the non-pro version, and they're cheaper. Wait, they're all sold out. Aside from this one, I guess, or this one. But yeah, or yeah, here's a non-pro version without colors. $15.
Oh, okay.
So the pro version is slightly better in terms of stitching or whatever, but like, you know, who really cares, right?
Yeah.
So I sent that. That's only if you really want to get a bigger pad, which I do recommend, but you know, that's your decision. Couple things I wanted to see though. Let's see. There was one fight with the Insta Spray and U-Haul. Believe it was this one. Yep. So you can see how we just immediately commit to the crouch spray, and because your crosshair placement dips so much from the crouch, slowing it down, we are now shooting body, right? So what do we need to do here? Well, there's a couple things we need to do. Number one, we don't need to crouch so quickly. So ideally when you spray, you don't crouch until like roughly 3 bullets. Like I shoot like 1, 2, 3 and then crouch. 1, 2, 3, then crouch. Whereas you're kind of crouching immediately after you see the target. So your bullets are kind of going, it's getting pulled down by your crouch crosshair. And then you're also pulling down with it, so your bullets kind of just go down. See?
Yeah.
Whereas when I do the crouch spray, I actually don't pull down until later. Like if I'm actually going to crouch that early, the pull down is just inherent with the crouch. But you're pulling down and crouching, so your crosshair ends up down here. It's like you're here. That's exaggerated, obviously, but
I know what you're saying.
What's a little bit more important though is I want to change that instinct that you have when you're holding an angle. This is similar angle here. I'm holding the angle. When this guy runs into my screen, I don't want to do this. Instead, I want you to take your first shot and then strafe. So in this case, you would strafe to the left, because if you strafe to the right, you might expose more to the angles on the people behind them. So in this example here, you take your first shot, strafe to the left, and then this is where you can commit to the crouch. Because at least in this way, it's multi-faceted on why you go left. But number one, it allows you to reset, so you have a chance to catch him when he stops. Because what's going to happen is you take your first shot, then he's going to panic and be like, oh shit, there's a guy here. And then he's going to stop roughly around here. So you want to be moving while he's trying to set up that shot. So you shoot, you're moving, then he's shooting at your shadow here, and then you just kill him as he's shooting at your old spot. So that's like a game of chicken in that sense. The other reason why it's good to take your shot and then move back is that it now allows you to aim at a target that was once moving to a target that's now static. So moving target, and then now you can actually aim at the guy that's standing still. Gives you time to line up your shot. And then the third reason why it's really good is because after you take your first shot and you go back here, if they're going for a double swing, the other guy will ideally line up. So you get this kill, and then the other guy will just be right there in the door frame. Whereas if you get this first shot and then go wider and you try to spray, the first guy that you might be aiming at is over here, and then the second guy swinging might have already made it past. So you can just get more lineup opportunities if you go closer to the cover that you're holding. So if we flip the wall a little bit, we're going here, you would take your first shot and then tuck to the right again. You wouldn't go shoot and then go left. Even though we went left the other time, it's you go closer into the wall. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is instinct that we need to train. It's not going to be automatic, but if someone swings you, take your first shot, tuck to the right, and then if you want, you can commit. Some people take the first shot and they kind of just do like the strafe battle after. It doesn't fucking matter, dude. It's just like whatever gets you the kill. But at the very least, the biggest like ROI change here is just making sure you don't commit to a spray in the first like bullet. Like after this, you can do whatever you want. Like you could shoot and then like tap. I don't really care what you do after that, but the first thing can't be an insta spray reaction.
Okay.
So that's that. Yeah, so let's keep going here. Really, if you only change those two things, it's gonna be pretty good for you in terms of angle holding. But we do need to get into peeking technique, which is gonna show a little bit more in the Pearl game, I think. But let's kind of go see. We're at 23, 19. Fast rotate, don't care. Okay, here's an example of the flick instability. Get this up. You flick to the right at some point to check spawn. And you flick back. Okay, so just because this video quality is terrible, let me see if I can find the dot. Put the thing on. Okay, and then I'm gonna slow the thing down. So we flick here, instability, flick here, instability. There's that little jitter. And then we don't do that little vertical micro adjustment back up, right? So not only are we rushed here, because if we just watch it at normal speed, so much is happening, right? We flick to the right, it's like, oh shit, there's someone there, oh shit, no one's there, and then we're back, we're already fighting. Ideally what happens in situations like this is like, you know, you check your back and then you check back. You want to like give yourself that half second. I call it a pause peak. You'll hear other creators call it like priming the peak. Like you can call it whatever the fuck you want to. It's just you have to be ready for the fight. So you flick back here, you flick back here, then you take that little second to be ready. But what we did here was we flick back, we flick, and then we kind of just in the fight already. You'll see pros, they're able to do that, right? Because they're really confident that like they have the flick stability, they know the maps, they know the angle they're about to swing into. But we're just not at that stage yet, so we just have to slow it down about like 20%, maybe 25%. And then just clean it up. And honestly, that's probably a good cue for you. It's just playing the game at like 20 to 25% slower speed. Or maybe another way to think about it is instead of playing at 100% speed, you play at 80% speed. Just whichever way clicks with you in terms of the numbers.
Okay.
But that's true a lot for a lot of things in our gameplay. So with our strafes right now, we're kind of doing like these tight peaks when you're fighting, like you're burst strafing sometimes, and you're doing it really tight. Ideally what we do is start at a wider cadence so that you can actually get your shot off, and then as you kind of get quicker, you speed it up. But we aren't really doing the whole burst strafing thing that often anyways, because a lot of your fights kind of just devolve into, oh, I shit, guy on my screen, and then you just flick. And unfortunately, we don't have the spray control to actually get headshots with our spray. So a lot of times your fights are pretty extended with body shots here. Which I think if you unbind crouch for the short term, that might encourage us to actually add some more, I guess, variance to our gun duels instead of just spraying.
Okay.
So flick instability, that was one example. Good recovery on this guy. This was actually a proper flick here, where we had speed. That was nice to see. And let me get the little dot back here because fucking can't ever see shit. So this is kind of what I mean with the flick. We're going to the left. Ooh, I skipped it.
They're planning.
It just naturally will dip, right? It's just on wide flicks, your crosshair will just naturally dip. That's just how it is, unless you use your shoulder movement, which is really hard to do. So we dip back here and we go and adjust back up. I was pretty happy to see that. So we get a good kill here. It's probably one of our cleaner gun duels here, despite the dip in the crosshair. 28. So here, insta spray. Notice how we didn't really line that up. And it's also a pretty tight peak. Again, you're at the lower ranks, and it's very easy to just... we could just pretend like this is showers really quick. This guy comes out of showers. Maybe you're here. This guy comes out of showers. He's out. instead of doing like a quick tight peek like this, it's almost like you're trying to pre-fire the guy. It's fucking, he comes out of showers, you just pre him, then swing this guy and kill him. Now, in the higher ranks, it might be smarter to go for something like this, but we're kind of getting to the range where it's just, we're overcomplicating this gun duel. Like, I just want you to see this guy come out and just fucking swing him.
Okay.
If you're playing on LAN and this Neon's fucking 10s or Primi, and you swing out wide like that, you probably will die, because they're gonna see you when they come out of showers and kill you. But like, we're not playing against 10s. We're playing against plats. And then here, this might be a movement thing. So this is kind of what I mean with the unnecessary movement. Seeing the crosshair here is not that important, but let me see. I will make a little red dot here. Now let's go back. So you get here, you notice your teammate dies here, so you're holding it. We've got like, you see like all those little micro stutters?
Yep.
I don't know if that's causing you not to be ready for this duel because you don't want to shoot while you're moving. So there's a couple things I'll say with this. Is it bad to angle hold while moving? The answer is no. You can angle hold standing still or moving as long as you're ready for the fight. Okay, so there's like a little rhythm here, and you'll see Tarek do this a lot. When he angle holds, he kind of strafes to the left and kind of goes to the right. Every time he's stopping, he's hoping that they swing on that exact timing so he can just click. Maybe if I just type in Tarek, let's actually go to his stream. I'll be able to find some examples because he's the player that does it the most. It's a CS:GO habit. CS players will AD. CS players will AD on an angle just because Pika's advantage is pretty severe in that game and people move really fast. Is he playing ranked here? Let's skip to, he even does it with the op, but let's just skip to a round where he's angle holding. Is this an example? Not really. Maybe I'll start on defense. Maybe I'll be a little bit more intuitive on defense. So you go around. Off angle here. Just watch this in 2x. Honestly, I thought I would have seen one by now, but oh, here's an example. Perfect. Slow this down a little bit. Full screen. Okay, so what is he doing? He's holding top mid here, but he's not just standing still. He's also doing those movements that you're doing.
I'm just gonna play rotate.
But what you'll see is he has like a little rhythm to it.
Fuck mid.
Yeah, they smoked mid, they netted mid.
Every time he's stopping right there, he's ready to shoot. That's is the important thing. It's almost like he doesn't like immediately strafe the other way. It's like he strafes, stop, strafe, stop, strafe, stop, and then he kind of does it like quickly. But what we're kind of doing is like we're just like going AD, like we're always in motion. Whereas like he kind of has like that small pause. So like every time he's stopping, he's ready to go for an insta flick, I guess.
I'm just gonna play rotate.
It's like a very subtle thing, and maybe you can't even see it properly.
Fuck mid.
But you'll see when this guy
smoked
appears
mid,
on
they
screen,
netted
immediately
mid.
ready to shoot.
They hit me with that. I think
Boom. So
Nice.
like a weird thing here, but
Yeah.
that's just something to consider with angle holding. If you don't want to do the whole movement thing, which I do think it is important to move, if they are expecting you, like kind of Tarek was doing. If you're playing an off angle though, or if you're playing close to cover, you can just not move and then go for a quick shot. Because if you're moving here, you're going in and out of cover, which is kind of annoying. So you can just go for like a quick shot and then tuck. But in our case here on this Reyna fight, we are moving, but we're not ready to shoot when he appears on a screen, and that just might be because we're moving a little too much. And I guess another way to think about it is your movements are so granular that it's hard to actually get a good rhythm with it. I don't know if you can kind of tell, but it's like micro step, micro step. Like we kind of do like a little shimmy, like it's like this. Like even I can't really time what the fuck's going on here. You know, it's just like too much baby steps. But if you like exaggerate your movement a little bit more and kind of go like this, it's gonna be a lot easier for you to kill someone when you're angle holding. And we can test it out in a custom later too. But that's kind of just an important detail, I think. I wanted to get some Pearl examples. Yeah, so that's the last one. Okay, so let's hop over to Pearl. cancel. Okay, here's the peeking habit. So you hear them tap or some shit. So you're pushed up post plant. You clear spawn. You see no one spawn. You kill this guy flower. They tap bomb. You run back. And then you can see we kind of just did the whole run it down peak,
Yeah.
right? I'm assuming right here we're holding WA. We're looking like visually in our head. We're thinking of only in the bomb spot. We're not actually thinking about the off angle here. When we swing, this jet catches us off guard and we don't really get the insta kill here. That's kind of important because you need to be aware of the off angles when you swing. I have a clip that I deleted, so it's going to be on my YouTube. Let's see if I can find it. Might be this one. Let's see. This one? Picking is such like a advanced topic in this game that like you can really spend hours dissecting a lot of this. But at the end of the day, it just comes down to intuition, to be honest. Or this one. Yeah, okay, it's this one. So I don't really care about what I say here, but so similar situation here. It's a 1v2, and they tap spike. Okay, so I don't know what the fuck I'm yapping on about here, but we'll just wait till we see the clip. Skip. Okay, here we go. Speed it up. You kind of want to like segue your way out, right? Because I'm respecting the off angle here. Then you get your first kill, and then when I come back in, this is kind of where you'll see it again with the Sky. He's gonna tap at some point. I'm yapping about something. Let's skip forward. Okay, so I kill the Astra, I tuck back in, and then I go for that swing. And notice how I don't full commit on that spike spot. I stop just short and go for the pre-fire there because that's me respecting the off angle. And I'm trying to figure out where he is, but I just heard him tap, so I can kind of like isolate his position, like right next to the spike. Like he's not gonna be far out to the right, basically. So that's why I go for the pre-fire. And yeah. So we need to really change our habit of hearing a guy and expecting him to be there and kind of just sending it on him. Like, let's say back here. And I know that there's a guy, let's say on this pillar. I'm aiming for this pillar. Ideally, what you do is you swing here first and then go to the pillar next. Like, you need a segment, and it doesn't take that much time. It's just a matter of discipline. It adds like maybe a quarter a second. But that'll let you actually get a proper peek on both off angle and the angle that you're actually going for. It's really important because like if I'm here and I go for this deep angle here on this pre-aim, it's gonna die to this guy on the right, and I have to hit a flick, and it's pretty unrealistic. So, and it makes me not as ready for the duel. Like if I'm just running it down, trying to get to this angle as quickly as possible. Okay, so any questions, comments so far?
No, man.
But the pearl thing, I point out a lot of mechanical stuff, so let's kind of go for it. This one's going to be really important here. Playing around smokes and actively hunting for a duel. So I'll just kind of show you what happens here. You go into the smoke. The quality on this is a little bit better, but I'm just going to put a dot on the crosshair anyways. Okay, so notice how we actually were caught off guard by the jet.
Yeah.
That's kind of problematic in the sense that we were actually peeking the edge of the smoke, and we should be ready for that. That's the problematic part. Actually, I think in that video I just pulled up, there is an example of me playing around the smoke. Maybe? Doesn't look like it. Okay, so I'll just talk about it in the game here. Let me switch to Clove. Yeah. And this is going to be pretty straightforward. I'm just going to give myself a smoke here. I'm playing on the back end of it, right? So when you're navigating an edge of a smoke like this, you could shift peek. And if you shift peek, you want to give yourself a gap. Notice how like my gap is here. So by the time someone actually pops up on my screen, I have time to react, right? Let me do that one more time. Back here. Whoops, I messed up the smoke a little bit. Let's put it out a little bit here, so I can be on the back end. Okay. So if I put my crosshair directly in the smoke, kind of like what we're doing, I'm gonna shift peek out, and then this guy's gonna, whoops, I'm gonna shift peek out, and there's gonna be a guy appear on my screen, and then this is the guy that appears on my screen, but I didn't actually react to that in time until my crosshair's already out. So you can kind of account for your reaction time by just aiming with the gap. So you come around the corner or come around the edge of the smoke with a gap like this. And then now when you actually see them, you can actually stop and your crosshair's pretty much on them. Right? This is just accounting for your reaction time, just as if you were holding an angle, you hold it with a gap. Like it's the same concept.
Okay.
But that's actually maybe a little bit more important here is I want you to be ready for every possible fight as you come around the smoke. So you can do that by doing like really small peaks as you're kind of coming around, like doing these tight peaks. Then you can kind of like insta kill the guy as you kind of come around the smoke. And honestly, if you kind of just do more of these tight peaks as you approach the map, your gameplay will just increase much more because it almost feels like we're not ready for any of the fights when you play this game. Prowl Cells is one example that does this really well, like one player, I should say. Like when he's navigating around the map, you'll see him do like a shit ton of baby steps. And to kind of summarize that idea a little bit, every single time Prowl Cells stops, he's immediately ready to shoot. And in this case, if you're taking really small, tight peeks around a corner, then all you have to do is click. I missed, but pretty much all you have to do is click. You're gonna be really close because you're kind of just opening one by one. But this is still true even if you do a tight peek out of a smoke, Zekin will be immediately ready to shoot, but he's just going for a flick after, right? Like he's just instinctively seeing someone and flicking. What's my point here? My point here is that we need to have that, like, I guess, instinct to when we're stopped, we are ready to shoot, instead of kind of just like a fight appears on our screen and it catches us off guard. Like there needs to be intent, and you need to be ready for the fight before the fight actually happens. And that kind of comes from like preparing beforehand and knowing that every single time I peek out and I stop, I'm ready to shoot. I don't know if that makes any sense at all.
It does.
It does? Okay.
Yeah.
But that's important, especially when you play Clove. Very, very important. It'll help when you contact angles too. But we'll get into a couple more examples here. Preem, here's another example of the Preem. Preem a bit deep, and then we have to flick back. So if you're scaling backside here, what you would do is you would keep your crosshair with this gap the entire time. Then as you come out here, your crosshair would already be here, and then your adjustment would be less. But right now your crosshair is here. Ideally, if you kept that gap, your crosshair would have been, maybe I'll just put it in blue. Here, your crosshair would have been here. Ideally, you have a gap as you're navigating backside here, but because he has the opportunity to peek you. I'll send you a video where I talk about this a little bit more.
Okay.
It's this one. Like, do you peek or hold? Kind of like a trick answer because you kind of do a little bit of both. 5 minutes. We won't watch it now, but cover the topic a little bit more in terms of the crosshair placement and what you should be thinking about. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, let's just keep going. Frame, good positioning. Okay, here. This is another thing with the peak thing.
Yeah,
So he gets a nice shot. Very nice shot by him, right? He's ready. But we should also be ready. And I think this is might be where that crouch thing is throwing us, in the sense that we're not ready. It's like as soon as we expose to this angle, we should just be ready to shoot. But when we expose to the angle, we have like that little crouch first. And we're not ready to shoot. Like we have to actually see the guy first.
Yeah.
Which it's such a narrow angle that you should just be able to click. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
See it one more time. So step out. Maybe it's like slightly do the crosshair placement too, because we didn't clear that properly, I guess. Like you should just be able to click on this frame, because right now we're completely stopped. You should be able to click, but we don't. So now you have to like slightly adjust, and then he gets the shot off. But keep going here. Crouch spray moment. Yep. So we see the guy. We instant crouch spray. Let's kind of see the context here. Wait, we're going for an exec. Made drones. You drop smokes. We might even be faking. I actually don't remember. You kind of just run out here at some point. Boom. And then there's a guy here. Spray. That's not that important, but I just wanted to highlight the fact that our instant reaction is to spray.
Right.
And that's not an important decision-making thing. This is fine. Okay, here's a target reading micro thing. I'm actually not sure if this is actually the case, but you'll see. Hopefully, see the crosshair. Okay, so the thing I wanted to point out is notice how you shoot, even though He stopped, right? You thought he was about to swing into your angle again, but he did a tight peek, right? Is that really that important that I'm pointing this out? Well, I don't know if it's like a matter of target reading that, again, we shoot a little bit too early, or we just didn't have the capability of flicking to the guy there. It's kind of hard to tell, but that is something I wanted to point out there. And then here's another reaction of spraying. Right, we see the guy with instant crouch spray. So here's the rule of thumb that I'll give you is if you stop, you should already be immediately able to shoot. Right? It should just be immediate. Like you stop, you should be able to shoot. But if your crosshair isn't at the right spot, then you should just move again. So in this case, if we got caught off guard, right? Because we were pre-aiming for this Reyna, but then we saw this guy first, so we reacted to this guy. Normally what would happen is you would pre-aim for this guy, shoot this guy first, and then react to this guy after, because he caught us off guard, right? It needs to be like a movement first instinct. But because we're kind of just playing off of reaction, like we're very reactive in our gun duels. Like this guy's catching us off guard. You don't have any like actually aiming on this guy. It's kind of just like, oh shit, there's a guy there. Let me fucking insta flick. I'm scaling. Oh shit, there's a guy there. Like that's not ideally what happens. It's like we're scaling. We're looking over here and this guy pushed out of the smoke. We like flick over and then we like line up our shot. Like, it should be a flick over and then like we take a little bit of step. So let's say I'm looking over here. This guy comes out on the side. Looking. Oh shit, this guy here, and then line up. But what we're doing is we're looking over here and this guy pops out. Then we're just lining that quickly up. And if you're close to them, it's a little bit easier. But the further you are out, like the harder it is to actually hit that shot. Because like now you're going for a body shot. That's not really ideal. So again, we're getting caught off guard a lot and it's causing you to have these instant reactions. Oh, actually, yeah, here's actually a good example. So we're fighting this guy and this omen will come out. Boom, instant shot. And you see how we're trailing that guy.
Yeah.
Normally what should happen is you actually wouldn't shoot any bullets. You would just see this omen and then you'd flick back over and then he would like kind of tuck back in while you're lining up your shot. But run it down energy on the peak. I can see this one. Which I think you kind of just saw there here, but again, instant crouch spray. Which at least that one was a headshot. Crosshair overreaction. Okay, this one's actually kind of major. So we're kind of pushing through. Okay, so first things first, your crosshair should be here for the guy running out of the smoke, not in the smoke. Or your crosshair would be here for the guy R peak. But regardless, because our crosshair is out, look, you see that huge overreaction? We just went all the way over to default. I think, I don't know what it is, but it's a common thing where we're seeing huge overreactions when a player pops on our screen. And in my head, this reminds me a lot when I played Fortnite, is because I just saw this target move to the right, so let me move my crosshair to the right. Or when this target moves down, let me aim at the fucking floor. Like, it doesn't make sense, but like that's what happened to me when I played Fortnite. And it's just like we aren't like connecting the two. Like this guy physically can't be here type of thing. So again, I do think it goes back to a little bit of target movement. And it's gonna sound weird, but you actually have to see the target before you aim. And we're kind of not doing that. We're just reacting and we're not actually looking at the target. Some scenarios that you can use to help do this is reflex scenarios. So do I have minigun? Nice, it's saved. Let me actually put okay, so he has a reflex scenario here, and I think some of the scenarios here will help you figure that out. It's literally exactly what this is. If you struggle with maintaining composure while reacting to newly appeared targets, reading them, or simply applying micro flicking skills under limited time windows, this routine will be for you. This is the main thing that I think we could work on, and then of course flicking technique. For stability purposes, but we're gonna kind of like band-aid solution the flick stability by just lowering your sensitivity, and then we will work on the reflex thing.
Okay.
So you can actually apply aiming technique. I think there's a couple other examples I wanted to look at. Shift peeking out of the smoke. Okay, so this is where those tight peaks could come in, like we're playing on the edge of the smoke. Actually, a really good example here. So you see how we actually didn't get the insta-kill on the Sage?
Yeah.
This should be an insta-kill moment. Even though your crosshair is actually not in the smoke, we just weren't ready. So that means that your gap needs to be higher. Like your crosshair should be right here right now, like somewhere over here. But yours is a little bit too close to the smoke. Which if I go back in the game, let's kind of just see what that looks like. Looks like your crosshair is kind of like here on this edge. what we need to do in this case is your crosshair needs to be out here as you're scaling out. It looks weird and it sounds weird, but like the question you might have just instinctively is like, okay, well, what happens if there is a target there? I'm aiming here, there's a target on this ping, for example. You come out, and then when you're ready, because again, when we're stopping, we need to be ready, you would just go for the flick like that, because it's a smaller flick, right? But then in this case, if they are where you are looking, then you can just click. So this is kind of what good crosshair placement is. But this should be an insta kill is my point.
Yeah.
And there's just errors in technique here. So it should be insta kill. And then if you do insta kill that guy, you would also kill this Reyna, and then now you're in a 1v1 or 2v1. No, JK, there's a default player. Didn't see that guy. But could be a round win. Kill this guy, and then you ran into the bullets. This is where you would jiggle right click, by the way. Oh, jiggle right click. Okay, here's a flick speed example, and I think this is where that flick confidence comes in. So let me put a little dot here. Fuck, the dot disappeared. Hold on. A little bit off. Good movement on that. You see that flick on the Omen though? Good movement on the Jet. The flick on the Omen is like, that's kind of what I mean with like you're moving your crosshair quickly, but not as a flick. And I think this is where that flick confidence is lacking here, because we did have high flick confidence. This would just be an easy quick flick, and then you actually have a chance on that fight. And it's not like he's far away, right? It's like a actually relatively easy target to hit. So unironically, one of the tasks that you can play to increase your flick confidence is what do you call grid shot, or like Tower Frenzy, which it might not be best to do the normal grid shot, but you know, let's just click on a random clip here. There's like a hella flick. You need flick confidence to have high scores here, because you just have to insta flick and shoot. He has a weird grip optimized for grid shot. Who cares really about that? But this is one scenario that you can use to develop that skill specifically. It might not be a good recommendation for Valorant in specific, like in that context. And then here, maybe wider strafes. It's kind of where those baby movements. But again, I don't know if it's a matter of target reading or like the vertical aiming, but we are ending up in like hip territory when you take your first shot. Because he aimed up, so we aimed back up, and then he comes back down. So then now we over-exaggerated our down aim, and your first bullet's on the hip. So it also could just be wider strafes could give you that time necessary to like re-aim, because like, okay, we're at hip, now we just have to take a wider strafe so we can aim back up. But mechanically, again, we need to stress the foundation of mechanics in this game. I don't really care about the whole decision-making thing, because that's not the thing that's holding you back right now. So it's hard to tackle all these mechanical stuff one by one, or sorry, all at once. So we'll do it one by one. We have the crouch spraying thing first. We just unbind crouch. So that's hopefully the way we get rid of this.
Yep.
At least as much. Vertical aiming, I think this will help as well by number one, lowering our sensitivity, and also unbinding crouch, because now you can actually use movement to lower your vertical aim. And then flick instability is also somewhat addressed with your lower sense. So these are all like band-aid solutions, let's be clear. But it'll hopefully allow you to kind of lower the challenge level so that we can actually address some of this. In terms of the actual mechanics thing that we can do to train some of this, the 2-bullet bot thing, I think this will be kind of useful to just I guess, invent our instinct on the fight technique, but just purely with reps. So go in this corner as breach by the staircase and just ult a couple times. You've probably seen this at some form before. These guys got stuck, so I'm just gonna kill them again and then do it again. And then we'll just kill 2 in the center and practice these bursts. And at first, I want you to kind of have wide strafes here. Just kind of keeping this cadence. Let me actually turn on ammo. Keeping this cadence, and making sure that you never miss. Like every time you stop and you shoot your 2-bullet burst, they die. But if you do miss, just switch targets anyways. Like here, I'm missing. Switch the target anyways and get into that rhythm. But let's say like I try to do my strafes this quickly, I'm gonna miss a lot more. And then this is where I would like advise you to slow down. So start slow, build up speed after.
Okay.
The other thing that I would recommend is actually smoking and peeking outside of the smoke. So you won't be able to do it with this, but let's just switch back to Clove. It's gonna spawn all the bots again, and then just pick one of the sides and then just smoke yourself off. Sit in the smoke, go on the back side of the smoke, and kind of just work your way around to get these kills. And you could do it with shift peeking if you want. You can kind of just like get ready, because to be frank, you could probably get away with shift peeking your elo as long as you're just immediately ready to shoot. But it's honestly like a bad habit that I wouldn't want you to get into. But if you're just looking to get that feel of how wide your crosshair placement should be, you can get that. And then of course you can get closer to the targets too and feel that crosshair placement. Let's do it on this side. Like just have it a little bit wider from the smoke. But ideally you do practice with a tight peak so you can immediately shoot when you're kind of coming around. That's drill number 2. And then this isn't really a drill thing. Again, it's just removing bind or crouch. And then I'll add the attack FPS routines here at the very bottom to help train reflex. Reflex training here. Okay. So we covered a lot. Any questions so far?
No, I don't think so, man.
Okay. So what I want to do before I let you go, actually I just want to see what it looks like from your point of view. So I'll just have you screen share. And then we'll kind of just walk through some of these just so I can get an eye test on what you're doing. And then if we need to give you some, I guess, verbal cues.
Why isn't it
And
letting me?
then go from there.
Okay.
Wrong link? What do you mean? Oh, this? Oh, yeah, you're right. Wrong link. Okay, are you screen sharing, Trevor? I can't
Not
see
yet.
it.
I am now. Should we go on the range?
Yeah.
My
When
ultimate's
you're
ready.
playing, by the way, is your elbow,
My ult
Like-
is ready.
I don't even know how to explain it. 90 degrees, more than 90 degrees, or less than 90 degrees?
Probably like just a little bit less. Like I would say like almost my arm is just under the dip of the table. Like it's almost completely flat, just a little bit below it.
Maybe I'm not visualizing this well. When I say the 90 degrees and stuff, I'm thinking about like if you were to do a bicep curl, that would be less than 90 degrees, and then if you would put your arm all the way out, that would be like 180.
It's almost 90. Like I would say 90, maybe like 85.
Okay, so that's
It's-
probably fine.
Yeah, it's pretty much.
I was
there.
just curious, as long as like you weren't extending your arm as you were playing. Okay, so let's just start with the breach ult 2 bots thing. And go ahead and unbind crouch. Get rid of crouch. Fuck crouch. We don't need crouch. Wait, you had it on your thumb bind? What the fuck is that?
Dude, I don't like. I can actually still do it. Yeah, I don't like to. I don't know. Hitting control, like it was always. It's just weird. Okay, so how do I change characters?
F2.
My ult's ready.
And then you have to spawn the box first.
My ult's ready. My ult's ready. My ult's ready.
Do we kill that one too?
It doesn't matter. As long as you don't, it's fine. Okay, do some wide strafes here. Okay, so notice how you're missing a little bit. Let's exaggerate that, like let's keep strafing until your crosshairs on the target.
Okay.
Slow it down a little bit. Or like wider. Yeah, if you miss, just move on to the next one. keep track of is peripheral vision. Okay, so there's always going to be 2 targets. As you're aiming at one target, you already need to be thinking about your flick path to the next target. So let's just say, for example, you kill this target on the right, you're immediately flicking to the left to kill the next one. Well, I just want to say immediately. I mean, you're not waiting for the bot that you just spawned to kill, or that bot that you just killed to spawn, and then treating him as a target. Like there's only one available target for you to go next. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
The reason I'm mentioning it is like sometimes a bot would spawn and then you'd go for the spawned bot, but you should go for the spawn, like the bot that's still alive.
Okay.
Do this for like maybe 30 seconds. Close smoke thing. Just jump on the other side. Yeah.
No peeking.
Yeah, maybe just simplify first. Let's try it with the shift peek so you have an idea of where your gap is.
Drop in a smoke. Drop in a smoke.
Alright. Notice how our crosshair doesn't have to move that much though. It's like a very minor micro. That's like the goal here. So this is good.
Drop in a smoke.
Something to note is like every time you're exposing to the angles, you should be ready to fight as soon as possible.
Drop in a smoke.
We're trying to build the intention here. Stuff like that. This is good. We need the insta kills.
No peeking.
Okay. Then last thing, I'll have you load into a deathmatch. And we'll do ghost deathmatches. Like you'll play deathmatch with just the ghost pistol thing.
You know, I feel like Alan showed me a video of Wahujin coaching the like 50-year-old from
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
Match found.
I mean, it's all fucking like if I were to go do anything physical, I would look like a fucking toddler without hands. So, you know, this stuff doesn't come automatic. You know, it's like not movements that you do in real life. It's like you're controlling a character in a game. It should feel alien.
Yeah, I've
It
always
helps.
like big into playing video games, but I've never actually like taken it as serious
Warm up.
as like I take this.
Right. Some people pick it up quick, some people don't. You know, it's just like sometimes it's intention, sometimes it's genetics. It's hard to say. Okay, so the thing I want you to prioritize with this ghost deathmatch is like having some wide ass strafes. Like try to have all your boards be headshots. No, that's good though. I like your strafing wide here. Are you trying to dead zone, by the way?
Kind of.
Okay, so don't do that. Just like strafe, stop, and then aim. It's not good, but
That's crazy. This is pitiful.
no, I mean this is just the game, you know. Movement reading. It's just how it is. How it is. I mean, it doesn't look pretty for me as well.
Fight!
Heads down, guns up, get deadly.
That's good strafe distance. So like I like the you want to do it doing it super tight. That's good. That's good. Yeah, these guys are moving. Where's the crouch sprayers at? Good gap as well. Okay, so there, it looks like you were trying to dead zone. Is that right? Actually,
Yeah, I think it's like a habit.
Yeah. Dead zone is just like a bait, dude. Like, the only time you dead zone in this game is if you're like, it's gonna be hard. What the question I have is, do you feel like the Ghost DM is too challenging?
It's my first game on, and normally my first game is pitiful no matter what gun I use. So
Sure.
Dominating.
Yeah, so blue bar is there too. I can definitely tell that you have this dead zoning habit. You just gotta make sure you strafe, stop, shoot, strafe, stop, shoot. Every time you're I guess something I should mention is like when you see a target and you react and you immediately shoot, you're skipping the procedure of hit confirmation, target confirmation, where you visually like can tell that your crosshair is on the head before you click. Okay, that's like kind of what we call hit confirmation or target confirmation. That's kind of what I'm trying to get you to work on.
okay.
It's like trying to visually see your crosshair on the target before you click it. It might even help to like get crosshair. You can see the crosshair, but maybe like I don't know. Do you ever use the plus?
Yeah, I think I do actually have. I didn't name any of these, so I don't exactly know what it is, but they're all kind of close.
Sure.
Kind of. That's like that right now.
So maybe shift the focus from whatever I was saying earlier to just target confirmation.
You want a piece of this?
Then everything else should probably fall into place, I would imagine. Why did I look at this way?
Remaining.
Okay, for these last like little bit here, let's see what it looks like with the vandal. Do that. Oh, nice. Bye.
Target 86. Obstacle removed.
Kills remaining.
Yeah, I wanted to crouch there and spray.
I know, I can see it.
One kill remaining.
Kill the queen.
Okay. Not too bad. I think we'll make a little bit of progress on this throughout the week.
Okay.
If I sound like War Owl, I know, dude. Just like the CS:GO fucking beginner. Move, stop, aim, shoot, whatever the fuck the flick thing was. But the main reason is I really do think dead zoning is a bait in this game. Like a lot of people, because like if you think about it, the window, like the time that you have to aim in a dead zone is so small, right? So it's almost really like its real use case is really only for pre-firing, because like you don't have to do the aiming portion. Now
Yeah.
some pros can actually flick and then hit their dead zone as like they're kind of jiggle peeking. Actually, I can show you a clip. Let's see. My screen still showing? I should. C9, 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 C9. I don't know what clip is it this game? What round it is? Oh, here. Okay, so this is the only time, like, there's like two scenarios. There's pre-firing, and if you are Zappa here.
Nobody clears this. Not one.
Okay, you see that dead zone?
Yeah.
It's the two mixtures here. So this first dead zone he does on Psalm, he actually hits him, I think.
Oh, we don't clear
No, he
that.
doesn't. He doesn't.
Oh, we don't clear.
He doesn't hit him. But this is like an example. He goes for the flick in the dead zone, and then you go for the pre-fire. That's the only time dead zoning is useful. You do not dead zone in active gun duels in this game.
Okay.
If you're in an active gun duel, let's say like he was out wider, you would just do strafe, stop, shoot, strafe, stop, shoot, right? Like that's just how you would do it. You don't dead zone, like you don't strafe, shoot in the between the strafe, like strafe, shoot, strafe. Like that's not how that works. It's like there has to be a physical letting go of the keys, and that gives you time to line up your shot so you can have target confirmation. We don't have target confirmation. If we look at any Alexander highlights, let's see. Because I think he exaggerates the confirmation sometimes. Let's just click on this random video. I don't know. It's Alex. I want to see it from his POV. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, you see that hit confirmation on the clove as well? Like this one was exaggerated.
Yeah.
It's hard to develop, right? It's very hard, but it kind of comes from a little bit of aim trainers as well. Like you kind of just have like an intuition sometimes when you play a lot of aim trainers that your shot's gonna hit. From like, I don't know, like a scenario like this. Because when you go for that micro adjustment, that's when you kind of a little thing. Kind of hard to see at the speed, to be honest, but Minigun might talk about it as well in one of his videos. Let's see. Oh yeah, actually it might be this one. He calls it aim discipline, I think. You see, huge difference between these two clips.
Right.
He's just waiting a little bit.
The difference is fairly obvious, right? The first player is clearly just missing while being shaky and rushing shots, while the other player is calm and smooth, correct? Well, is that really all there is to it? Is it just about being smooth and taking more time?
Okay, that was actually a really nice clip to show this. Like we're not rushing any shots. Like you're reading target movement is really important here. It's fucking difficult, but like he knows that this guy stopped, gets the shot on here. He's moving a little bit, lines up a shot, and this guy like just air like he was in the air landed.
Taking more time to shoot?
It's just so much that goes into aiming,
Answer is
but
as simple as that. Why does it not work for us? What if instead
aiming discipline. So this is also maybe a good video to listen to him yap about.
Okay.
Whatever filter I had was gone. Oh really? What the fuck? My mic still buggy?
I never thought so.
That's pretty much all I have though.
That's not. No, I had you at like 50 because I think I was watching one of your like in the dopai channel. I was watching you. I had you turned down, and then I just turned it back
Gotcha.
up.
The video or something? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so actionables from now. Watch this video. I need to link this video to fucking YouTube intro. YouTube video. And yeah.
Okay.
So YouTube videos. Aim training. I want you to do this reflex training routine. You don't have to play all the routines like if you read through this document, but basically you want to use the routine as a way to discover scenarios, and then you play the scenarios that make the most sense in your situation. So just have fun with it. Just pick out some. And I want you to do this reflex routine like every day for like roughly 20 minutes. And yeah, maybe I'll put this here 20 minutes. As for the two bullet burst bots with the thing, this is Breachel. Then play Ghost Deathmatch at the very end of this. And yeah, we already removed crouch. So two bullet bot burst thing, smoking and peeking on the side with that he peeks with the crosshair gap and all that stuff. So you can get the insta kill. I guess purpose of this is to get instant kills as you're rounding a smoke. And then Ghost Deathmatch, focus on target confirmation. Reflex training is going to be this aim little thing routine. And then these two videos, hopefully to give you an idea of kind of the visual aspect of what I'm talking about with this one is with the aim discipline, he calls it. And then this one is about the crosshair gap thing.
Got it.
Let me know if you have any questions on these videos or these documents or just anything in general throughout the week. But yeah, we will revisit in on next week. I will say really quickly for the mouse pad, I do highly recommend you get a pad that is a little bit bigger because it'll help you out. This is the pad I would recommend if you were going to get one. Like I said, I personally have the Pro, but it is on the pricier side. You could easily opt for the $10 pad version. I think it's 15 if you go for the square. The XL is completely fine. I have the XL. I don't have the square. But if you want your dimensions to be even for some reason, you can. You can even get the fucking full mouse mat if you want to. Like it's you go crazy with this thing. And these are pretty affordable. But if you just want to get the you can have the design on it if you want. Like I said, the Saturn versus the Pro is probably like a 5 to 10% difference, but obviously the price difference is significantly different. So I prefer to have that 5 to 10% difference. To be fair, I've never used a basic Saturn, so I can't really say. I'm just kind of speaking from hearing people's reviews on the difference between the Pro versus the Saturn. So yeah. Yeah, that's it. Any questions, comments before I let you go?
Nah, man, I'm good.
Alrighty. Again, just this week is mechanics focused, and we just gotta put in the work and the reps to kind of figure that out.
All right.
Alrighty, man.
Appreciate it. Peace.
Peace. You take care.